Good morning, grade 10. For quarter 4, we had talked about the measures of position. We are done with finding the measures of position by the use of the formulas for quartile, decile, and percentile for the group, and also we're done with the group data. We also done illustration of measures of position. Yung pinakita sa atin kung saan na yung mga pictures of kung saan nakalocate the location of the quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and so on. And then last week, or the latest topic natin is all about the interpretation of measures of position, wherein we are interpreting the values of the measures of position and kung ano yung mga nakuha nating values, in-interpret natin last week. So, we have here how many percent is equivalent to D7. So, when we are going to interpret it, the value of D7 is equivalent to in percentage, it is equal to 70%. About the quartile 3 is 75%, and the percentile 30 is also 30% because the percentile and the percentage is we have the same value because the percentile we are dividing percentile into 100 equal part, and the percentage is the total has as a whole is 100%. So, for this week, we are going to tackle the problem involving measures of position. Alright. So, the objectives at the end of the lesson, the learners are expected to analyze problems involving measures of position, use the appropriate procedure in solving problems involving measures of position, and appreciates the importance of measures of position in real-life situation. Considering problems involving measures of position, the following questions should be answered correctly to come up with the right answer. So here are the guide questions for us to answer correctly the problems involving measures of position. Number 1, what is the data being presented in the problem? It is ungroup or group data. Number 2, what measure of position being asked? Is it quartile, decile, or percentile? Number 3, what is the procedure to perform and the formula to use? So, let's try an example. San Pablo City is well known to its delicacies made of coconut. One of them is the buko pie. According to Mang Carlos, an online seller of buko pie, his sales has increased due to the demand of online services due to pandemic. The following data is the number of buko pie boxes being sold for the past 10 days. Find Q3. So here is all about the buko pie. That is a delicacy from San Pablo City, Laguna. So, according to Mang Carlos, an online seller, Mang Carlos, his sales has increased due to the demand on online services dahil sa pandemic. And wala pa dito yung data. So here is to find the answer. Pag nakita na natin yung data, so here is the data, we can see that the data is just in ungroup data. So we can say that this is ungroup data. That's why the formula that we are going to use is the formula for ungroup data. And then we are going to find the quartile 3. Since 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, we have 10 datas here, and it is not yet in array form. So when we are going to find the value for quartile 3, we have to, the first step is arrange the values in the distribution in ascending order, or mula sa pinakamababa papunta sa pinakamataas na numbers. So, here it is. Naka-array form siya. Ascending order. And then, find the position of quartile 3. We are going to use the formula for quartile 3. And then, here it is. So, since we're looking for Q3, so 3 divided by 4 multiplied by 10. Yung n natin is 10 plus 1. So, since here the answer is 8.25, always remember that when the data or the we are looking for the quartile 3, since this is quartile 3 is at the right side of our median of quartile 2, so we are going to round down the 8.25. That's why this will become 8. So our quartile 3 is in 8th position. And then after that, we're going to count here in the row scores 1 to 8. So our 8th position is number 43. So since this is the 8th position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So our quartile 3 is equal to 43. And then, since this is a problem, we always don't forget to interpret. So to interpret, let's go back to the problem. So San Pablo City is well known to its delicacies made of coconut. One of them is buko pie. So as you can see, it has a long paragraph, but we are going to focus here at the end that the following data is the number of buko pie boxes being sold for past 10 days. Find Q3. So to interpret, because we already got quartile 3 is equal to 43. Then in interpretation, therefore, it can be said that 75% of the number of buko pie boxes being sold for the past 10 days is less than or equal to 43. So we will not include the whole paragraph in the interpretation. We are going to find and focus on the most important part of the paragraph, and that's why in the interpretation we only included the number of buko pie boxes being sold for past 10 days. Illustrative example number 2. Coconut oil is one of the benefits of coconut tree to human lives. It contains natural saturated fats that increase good cholesterol levels in human bodies. In TLE, we learn about these saturated and unsaturated fats. One of the factories manufacturing the products is Tropicana Food Products Incorporated, or TFPI, which was founded in 1975 at the heart of Coconut City, San Pablo City, Laguna. TFPI have been the manufacturer of coconut products such as pioneering virgin coconut oil, or VCO, production in 1985. It has been a major supplier of many VCO brands, both locally and internationally. Supposed it has 50 employees with age data shown below. So we can see here that The paragraph is very long and it's talk about coconut oil or the virgin coconut oil. But then in the end, suppose it has 50 employees with the data shown below. So the data wasn't already here and it was in the next slide because the paragraph was so long. Kaya hindi na siya naisama yung data dito. And as you can see, yung nasa dulo ulit yung ating important data. So, suppose it has 50 employees with the age data shown below. So, here is the data. Age of 50 employees and we have the frequency here. So, from 26 to 30, we have 11, 31 to 35, we have 9 employees, 36 to 40, they have 8 employees, 41 to 45, 12 employees, 46 to 50, have 7, 51 to 55, they have 3 employees. So, the total of 50 employees all. So, Rn is 50 because that is the total of our frequency. And now, we are going to find the percentile 60. So, as we see, this is a group data because the data was in table. It was in table and it has frequency per class. That's why we're going to use the formula for the group data. And since it is percentile, the percentile formula for group data as it will be used in this problem. So, solution or these are the guide questions for us to come up with the correct answer in the end. So, is the data is group or ungroup? So this we already answered that. This is the group data. So what is the measure of position being as? So find percentile 60. So what is the procedure to perform and formula to use? So we are going to use the formula for percentile for group data. So this is the step-by-step procedure in finding the percentile 60. So this is the formula. Since we have the lower boundary, we first complete the frequency table. So we look for the lower boundary. So the n is already there. The community frequency of the class before the PK class or before the percentile 60 class. The FPK, the frequency. Then the interval. Since the interval is 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, we have 5 for the interval. And the K or n percentile, the K is 60. So to complete the table, how to find LB? It's simply we are going to subtract 0.5 from the lower limit. So in the first class, 26 to 30, our LB here is 25.5 since we subtracted 0.5 from the lower LB. So per class, we are going to subtract 0.5 to the lower limit. The lower limit of the class were seen here at the left side. These are the lower limit per class. So we are going to subtract 0.5. That's why here is the lower boundary of our class. So the first class, we have 25.5, 30.5, 35.5, 40.5, 45.5, and 50.5. Okay. Next, find the less than CF. To find the less than CF, we simply add the frequency continuously. So, as you can see here, because our first class it has 11, So our less than CF4 is 11. And then we are going for the second class, we are going to add 9 from 11. So here is 20. And then the third class, we are going to add 8. So 28. And then plus 12 in the fourth class, so 40. Plus 7, 47. And then at the last class, we have 50. So that is the less than cumulative frequency. Here. So we had already our class for our percentile 60. So how do we get this? We use this formula. Pk is equal to Kn divided by 100. So our K is 60 multiplied by 50, the N, and divide by 60. That's why we got 30. And 30 is belong to this class because 28 is not, or 28 is less than 30. That's why we go to the next class, and 40 is or the 30 belongs here because it is less than 40. So we had already our class for our percentile 60. Now we can substitute this data to our formula. So for frequency, we have 12. For our LB, we have 40.5. And for the less than CF, before CFB or cumulative frequency before, so instead of writing 40, we have to write that 28 because before the class of percentile 60. So here it is. So since we have this already highlighted, the class of P60 and the CFB was here the 28. So for LB, here are the data we are going to substitute for our formula. And then to solve, you can pause this video for you to find out if you can also get the correct answer if you will solve it by yourself. And the answer is, so this is the step by step. So 60, because we are going to find the percentile 60 value. So 60 our position. So 60 times n is 50 over 100 because this is the formula for percentile. And minus our CFB is 28 all over our frequency for P60 is 12 and multiplied by the I, which is 5. Then always remember that we in solving this, don't forget to use PEMDAS. We first solve for the datas inside the parentheses. So here it is. So we have 30 minus 28 over 12 multiplied by 5. And then 2 over 12 multiplied by 5 plus 40.5. So we got the P60 is approximately 41.33. So this is the position of our P60. Since this is not the exact value, but this is just approximation. And now to interpret. So therefore, we have 60% of employees of Tropicana Food Products Incorporated have ages of less than or equal to 41.33. So that is a simple interpretation for our problem. So we did not include the long paragraph in our interpretation. We are just focused on the most important detail. So here, since the question is, we are going to find the percentile 60 of among the 50 employees of the TFPI. So here is the interpretation. 60% of the employees of Tropicana Food Products Incorporated have ages of less than or equal to 41.33. Okay, learning task number 1. For 7 minutes, I will give you this learning task. So, Mrs. Marasigan is a veterinarian. So, if you know veterinarian is, it is a veterinarian is a vet, in short, a person who is qualified to treat sick or injured animals such as cats or dogs. The average salary for a veterinarian in our country per year is 286,802. One morning, Vet Marasigan asked her secretary to record the service time she rendered for 15 customers. The following are services in minutes: 20, 35, 55, 28, 46, 32, 25, 56, 55, 28, 37, 60, 47, 52, and 17. So, I had bolded this part one morning, start from one morning up to the numbers or the datas, because this is the most important part in this paragraph. So, meaning this is the only included in our interpretation. So, for girls, find the value of quartile 1, interpret each measure of position, for boys, find the D7 value, interpret each measure of position. So you can pause this video if you want to answer this. Since you have no time limit, it's up to you. So you can answer both, those for girls and for boys. And then, don't forget the guide questions. So if the data is group or ungrouped, so as you can see here, this is the ungroup. And then the measure of position being asked is, so for girls, quartile 1, and for boys, decile 7. And what is the procedure to perform and the formula to use? For quartile 1, since this is ungroup, so we will use the formula for ungroup. So here it is. And the answer was also here. So since our data given here was not yet in an array form or not yet in the ascending form, this one, so we are going to arrange it in ascending order. So here is the arrange data. So find the Q1 for girls. So we simply substitute our n for 15. So n plus 1, that will be 16. Because the data is total of 15. That's why the answer here is 4. And since the quartile, since it's not decimal, it's whole number, so the fourth position is the value of our quartile 1. So the fourth position is 28. So for interpretation, because we got the quartile 1 is equal to 28. So one morning, Vetmera Sigan asked her secretary to record the service time she rendered for 15 customers. And to interpret, therefore, it can be said that 25% of Mrs. Marasigan's service time she rendered for 15 customers is less than or equal to 28 minutes. So always remember the equivalent of our positions, or for example, so quartile 1 is equivalent to 25% because we are going to use that in our interpretation. So for example, if we are looking for the quartile 3, so since quartile 3 is equivalent to 75%, so we are going to interpret it as 75%. Alright, for the boys, and here is the answer. So, same process, and since we are going to find that decile 7, our numerator is 10. So, and the answer here is 11.2. So, the decile 7 is at the right side since of the decile 5. So, because it is in the right side, so 11.2 will be rounded down to 11. And our 11th position is 52 because we just count from left to right in our array, or in our datas arranged in array form or in an ascending order. So we got 52 as our 11th position. So to interpret, therefore, it can be said that 70% of Mrs. Marasigan's service time she rendered for 15 customers is less than or equal to 52 minutes. It is 70% because the decile 7 is equivalent to 70%. So, learning task 2. Grade 10 students are required to take the National Career Assessment Examination NCAE. It helps students to identify which rank they should take in senior high school and courses in college. The students in the moving up class 10 era of San Jose National High School obtained the following scores in the NCAE. So for boys, find the 62nd percentile. For girls, find the 8th decile. So since it is a group data, so we have to complete first our frequency table. So we have here the n is equal to 40 because the student who took the NCAE are all 10 students. So for boys, we are going to find the 62nd percentile. So we hold already our lower boundary here, our lower boundaries, and our less than CF was already here too. So, and our N is equal to 40. So 62nd percentile, we are going to find first if first class this 62nd percentile belong. So by using the formula, so 62 multiplied by n divided by 100. So since our answer is 24.8, so doesn't fit here in the second class because it's just until 24, but here it belongs to third data because 24.8. And if we round it off, the 24.8 will become 25. So it belongs to our third class. So we have already our data for our formula. We can now solve for our percentile 62. No. Right. Now we have our lower boundary, our CFB and FBK, the I and the K. So for lower boundary, we have 35.5. CFB is 24 because this is the CF before the class of P62. Our frequency is 7. and Ri is 5. And the K, since we are going to find the 62. So, by using the formula, okay, the step-by-step process, so the final answer is 36.07. It was covered by the approximately. Right, the 3 was covered by the approximately sign. So 35.5 plus 0.5714 is equal to 36.07. If you are going to use the step-by-step process in calculating, so uh, I use the 4 decimal places here. So for to make the final answer to be exact, same with the others. And here in the final answer, the 36.07 is only 2 decimal point. So that is for the boys. And what about for the... Oh, the interpretation pa pala. So the interpretation was 62% of students in the moving up class 10 Hura of San Jose National High School obtained the scores in the NCAE of less than or equal to 36.07. So that is the interpretation for the boys. And then for the girls, same table because you have the same data. So for girls, we find 8 decile. We're going to find the 8 decile. So for the position of 8 or the class where the 8 decile belongs, so we got 32, and 32 belongs to fourth class. So this is the fourth class, and we have our data to substitute for our formula. And the formula for decile is here. So let's substitute our data to our formulas, and let's go for the step-by-step process, and we will get the answer. Decile 8 is approximately equal to 41.5. So natakpan na naman ng ating approximately sign yung ating 4. So to interpret, 80% of students in the moving up class of 10 Hura of San Jose National High School obtained the scores in the NCAE less than or equal to 41.5. So 80% because the decile or the 8th decile is equivalent to 80%. So as simple as that. So in interpretation, don't forget to include the therefore, or we concluded that 80% of students in the moving up class 10 Hero of San Jose National High School obtained the scores in the NCAE of less than or equal to 41.5. Okay, first thing to remember are the guide questions. So if we have already the problem, so we have to look for if it is on group or group, and then what is the measure of position being asked, and then if we have already have that too, then we have to find the process or formula to be used to be able to come up with the right answer. And then in the end, we are going to interpret. So we have our quiz. So you can put your answer at the private comment section of your activity for Q4 week 4. I will upload the activity today, and you will put your answer for the quiz at the private comment section. So here is your quiz. So you are going to answer based on your surnames or apelyido. So surname starts with A to H, answer 1 and 2. Surname starts with I to P, answer 2 and 3. Surname starts with Q to Z, answer 1 and 3. After answering, so this is not applicable for you. So after answering, you are going to put it in the private comment section of your Q4 week 4 activity. So we have here the example for format of your answers. So your name and then the numbers are going to answer. So since my surname starts with letter I, so I answer 2 and 3. So don't forget to include the interpretation per answer. So number 2, for example, is your answer is 24, and then dash the interpretation. Then number 3, answer 25 dash the interpretation. Okay, here is the question or the problem. Consider the situation below and solve the following problem. Teacher Marites conducted a pre-test in mathematics for first quarter to 10 students of her advisory section. The following is the result of the test: 23, 38, 28, 46, 22, 20, 18, 34, 36, and 35. So, I already arranged it into ascending order, and we had already the n is equal to 10. So for 1 third quartile, determine and interpret the third quartile. Number 2, 6th decile. And for the number 3 is 55th percentile. So, thank you for listening and good luck for your quiz.